I know, sometimes you get into Terraria, you have all these ideas swimming around, and then you open up your inventory and you don't know what to build. But here's an idea, check out some of your favorite films next time you're lacking inspiration, because you might just surprise yourself. Hey Terraria fans, welcome back to another World Tour video. Guys, in this one we finally did it. We actually have a theme. Well, in that both of the builds come from films, but that still counts. Now, as you might have seen in a previous build, we actually made the Eye of Sauron, and so this time I decided to take that film, Lord of the Rings, and port that over into our new build, which is our Hobbit home. Now, obviously this goes in the opposite direction, but it is an awesome build, guys. I think you're going to love it. Now, the second build is from the movie Up, which I saw not too long ago, and funnily enough, I don't know why I didn't think to do this sooner, but this build looks amazing. I just think it looks really good. It's actually quite easy to make, and yeah, just tell me what you think. Tell me how close it matches the real thing, because I think it's actually a good approximation. So I don't know, maybe I'm just biased. Now guys, if you want to catch me doing any of these builds live, you can do so on Twitch. Link is down below at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time every Tuesday. Now I also stream other games throughout the week. The only days I am not online are Wednesdays and Sundays. Finally, if you guys are enjoying any of the videos, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe, because it does help our channel grow and helps get the word out. Now, with that being said, guys, let us get into the builds, shall we? All right, folks, so here we are at our first build. This is our Hobbit home build, and I really do like this one. I think you guys are going to like it. So let's quickly cover the materials. Now, as you can see, we have used a wide variety of materials. Now, in this case, a few of the blocks that are a bit more interesting are going to be our hallowed shard wall. Now, this is specifically for some of the leaves and foliage. This looks really good, and someone told me to use this, and I really like the way it looks. We also use some snow brick wall, which I typically do not use. And then we also made use of some cloud wall and a multitude of paints, including deep yellow, orange paint, and some red and green paint. We also then use some crimstone brick, which again, not a block I use all the time, as well as some silly purple balloon and some ebonstone, which I do actually use a lot. So guys, as always, I invite you to pause the video here should you want to check out any of these materials a bit more closely. If you do have any questions, or if I missed something, or if you want a list of the materials, please leave a comment down below, and I'm happy to write these out for you or answer your questions. So guys, with that being said, let's jump into the build. All right, folks, so here we are at the Hobbit home. As you can see, I really like the way this turned out. We tried to go for a sort of slight 3D peeking through the walls sort of build, where what you have is the front entrance here, obviously the very sort of quintessential Hobbit door that is round with the large knob in the middle, and then here is a wall, and then here you're actually seeing inside the house, which is kind of a little fireplace, somewhere to eat, a table, sleeping quarters, and some other things. Now, again, guys, the foliage on this is what I think makes this build. Now, in particular, what you're going to see is the variety of the textures here, and that is because we have used a host of different things, including obviously our leaf wand. We then use our hallowed wall here, painted green, as I had mentioned. We use some flower wall, I think, and we also then just use our normal sort of living leaf wall as well. So a lot of different textures. We also then used a bunch of scab wall painted red, or crimson scab wall, I should say, painted green, not red. And you can see that that kind of adds a lot of texture and detail. And then we posted on a bunch of plants, either painted or unpainted, blueberries, just different ones, just to add some color, some texture, and some details. And then we actually have our, I believe here is our snow brick, yes, wall, painted orange. So this is where you kind of have this interesting kind of design. Again, someone in my Twitch chat actually mentioned that I tried this, and it actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the result. But you can also see we added that here because it remains sort of a gray-brown color, which does fit the build quite nicely. So to make the door, it wasn't actually too complicated. We went with a spooky wood wall painted brown in the background for the entirety of the door. We then framed that with a fence. This is, I believe, our ebon wood fence, if I'm not mistaken. You could use mahogany as well. And then we just use some ebonstone brick around the outside and make it look a little bit more robust, because the size of the door would require that you actually have some sort of, you know, good design to it. So with that done, we then put some platforms around just to frame it, and overall I do think it looks pretty good. We also used some little bits of bloodroot, I should mention, for the foliage, just to kind of have it stand out. And we wanted a very overgrown look because you know, when you look at the Hobbit homes, there's always little gardens in the front. We added a little bench and try to make it look really quaint and very sort of similar to the real thing. Now, when you peek to the inside, guys, again, we didn't want to do anything too crazy. We wanted to remain kind of small and quaint and just very kind of overgrown and natural in some ways. So we went with a simple sort of wood design with some stone on top. And then, of course, went with our little design with palm wood and our wood wall in a pattern. I also made a little tribute to the sword that Frodo has in the movie. It glows blue when there's orcs around, so I thought this was appropriate. And of course, the ring itself, which I know obviously is not exactly the same, but I thought it was a nice little tribute to the movie, as well as the actual Hobbit home itself, which is sort of the main point of the build. And guys, it is a simple design ultimately, but it's all about the little details with the foliage for me, and I do think that if you do attempt this, be ready to do a lot of work on the sort of landscaping, because that is what really makes this build pop. So if you would like to see how I put this build together and all the hiccups I may have had, there is a speed build video up, guys. You can go check that out on the channel as well. So with that being said, it is time to move to our second build. All right, folks, so here we are at our second build. This is the one from Up. I think you're really going to like it. For this one, obviously, you're going to need a lot of colors and a lot of balloon. And again, guys, I try to replicate the house as close as I could given the material, so we do use a couple of different things. Now, crimstone brick wall, hive wall, and green stucco wall are not things I use commonly, but I did use throughout this build. I also then used the balloon walls, both for the balloons, I think for other places in the build, and then a lot of silly purple balloon, silly pink balloon, and silly green balloon, but these are all painted a host of colors. So as you can see, we literally used any color that we could get our hands on that we thought was interesting. So we have deep red, we have deep cyan, we have violet, purple paint, violet paint, yellow paint, all kinds of blues. You can pick your colors here, guys, but this is what I used for this build. And again, you could use like anything you really want. As always, I invite you to pause the video here if you want to check out these materials a bit more closely, or feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll definitely answer any questions you may have. All right, so with that said, let's go check out this build. All right, folks, so here we are at our second build, the house from Up. Now, I know it's probably not a perfect replica, but I tried my best, and if you go check out some of the pictures, I think this is pretty close both in color and design. That was the whole point. So while the build is actually pretty simple to make, matching all the colors and the sort of shapes and patterns was tricky. As you can see, this window section here gave me a bit of trouble. The idea here was to make this look a little bit more 3D, but when I actuated the blocks, it looked kind of weird, so I just kind of kept it like this. For the main front wall, it's just a lot of wood wall painted, I believe this is violet, and we also kept the violet here and here, or if it's not violet, it's purple, but basically a purple color of your choosing. We then added these tables here with a platform that is hammered down into the bottom position, just so that we could have something that looks like a little bit of a railing. The idea here is obviously that the foundation has been ripped up by all the balloons, which are coming out of the chimney, which you will see in a second. This is where we use our crimstone and our hive walls, respectively. The hive wall I thought looked really good, and we went with sort of a just a wood wall painted. This is, I believe, blue or deep blue, and just kind of kept the color schemes as close as we could. Hence why we have so many varieties of colors: the yellows, the purples, the sky blues, the cyans, the deep purples, the deep blues, all those things. So again, nothing special in terms of the buildings, guys. It's just wood that's been angled, and then we have a platform that goes over top. And we just try to keep these windows kind of all the same. One thing that's interesting is here is where we actually use some rope going across to make a straight line. And it actually looks good as a sort of windowsill that's been moved. And our front door probably could have been maybe a little bit different or a little bit more interesting, but I tried my best to make it look like the actual thing from Up. Finally, if you're wondering, this is palm wood painted yellow, and this pattern is our usual wood with palm wood in the vertical position and wood wall in the horizontal position, just painted blues, and I think it looks quite nice. And this is a host of, I believe these are bamboo workbenches, if I'm not mistaken, just to give it kind of another sort of awning shape here, which again, I just kind of like the way it turned out. All right, guys, so here we are. Obviously, we have some ropes connecting into all the balloons. We try to make the shapes look sort of balloon-like. This is kind of tricky because you're going to want to use a variety of balloon walls painted different colors, and also actual balloon blocks painted different colors as well. You can make this shape fairly easily, but you don't always have room, and obviously you have to use different balloons side by side so they don't sort of connect to each other. So that's something to keep in mind. This part actually took me quite a while. I think if I had made more balloons, it would have just got bigger and bigger. So I had to make something that wasn't too crazy and that kind of fit the shape here of this whole design. But I really like the way the clouds and the balloons look. I think it looks pretty good. This was, again, tricky. I don't know if there's a better way to have perhaps done this, but again, I just think it looks right. It looks and feels like up to me. If there was a way to sort of angle our ropes out, it would have been kind of nice to have that. But in general, it does the trick in my mind. I think the design here, where we have the sort of balloon bottom part, the balloon knot part actually sort of connected in, looks nice. It looks more realistic. But when I added too many, I just didn't love the design. It also takes up a lot of space. So in the background, guys, you're going to want to have a lot of different walls. In the foreground, you're going to want to have the actual balloon blocks in the front, and then you're going to want to paint them a variety of colors. You could also actuate them if you want, so you could go through it, but my sort of idea here was this was just sort of something that you had to put together and work around. So again, guys, I really love this build. I think it looks really cool. It actually looks really good on the map as well. As you can see, a lot more, I think it looks a lot more up-like on the map than anywhere else. But again, it's part of the fun when you do these, guys. So as always, if you have any questions about the techniques or materials I've used, by all means, feel free to leave a comment down below. Also, I encourage you guys to check out the actual house from up and make a comparison and tell me how I did. Guys, I think this is a pretty good approximation, or fairly close approximation, given that it's a 2D game. But guys, definitely try your hand at this. It was a lot of fun. It was very quirky, very colorful, and definitely something I would try again. All right, folks, so there you go. There is our house from Up, and of course our Hobbit home from Lord of the Rings. Now, I don't know which one I actually like more, because they're both pretty good, but let me know which one you prefer in the comments down below, because I'm really curious. And with that, we are done. I hope you guys enjoyed the builds as much as I did, and as always, guys, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. We will see you in the next one.